The strike carried with it the crushing might of the surging river, entwined with the profound arcane mastery of Blind. Even before it struck, the dragon-rearing sovereign sensed a foreboding peril that clawed at the very marrow of his being. Why does such a small corner of the Eternal Peace Empire harbor so many formidable experts? He muttered, teeth gritting against the inevitability of the confrontation. With no time to retreat, he summoned the fullness of his magic, bracing himself to meet Blind's assault. The river pillar twisted in a furious spiral, whistling through the air like a celestial serpent. At its crest, the water condensed into a dragon's head, eyes gleaming like polished jade, fangs poised to strike. A dragon-shaped spell? How quaint. Dragon-rearing sovereign exhaled, his form quivering as a torrent of dragon chi surged forth. The 1,000 dragons plate materialized around his head, serpentine forms of flood dragons, coiling and bearing fangs, claws slashing at the wind. Even a master of divine arts cannot escape the scrutiny of a god who commands dragons. Yet, the dragon head twisted violently, the spiraling water forming an immense dragon spear, its tip sharpened by the river itself. Dragon-rearing sovereign's heart quaked. This was no mere dragon-shaped art. It was a weapon of precision, striking the 1,000 dragons plate at its core. The resulting rupture warped and scattered the dragon's spirits, leaving a yawning void at the center. His eyes narrowed on the thick spear lodged at the heart of his defense. It has not yet unleashed its full force, and when it does, it will pierce my very body. With swift calculation, he abandoned his attempt to control the surging river, weaving protective barriers with every ounce of his magic, only to see them severed as if insubstantial. Clasping the spear with his hands, blood welled from countless piercings through dragon scales. Yet his roar shook the heavens. His power is inferior to mine. Break! His form swelled, towering 300 yards above the riverbed. With a violent spin, he wrenched the spear free, sending water and broken dragon forms cascading around him. Yet the strike had already left its mark. His palms mangled, his vitality strained beneath the onslaught of surging river fused with Blind's precision. Before he could recover, another dragon spear hurtled at him, followed instantly by yet another from the sky above the river. Each strike fixed a crucial point of the river's dragon vein, halting his flow of power. Dragon-rearing sovereign's movements grew frantic, sidestepping and evading as the deadly barrage continued. A Dao spell master, he realized, cold sweat beading his brow. Every strike of Blind meticulously anchored his own dragon vein, sapping his strength while leaving him no means to summon his flood dragons. Exhausted from a prior battle with Mute, his vital chi was still patchy, his surging river maneuvering drained of force. Once more, he found himself wounded and defeated in repeated cycles. Above the river, Blind stepped lightly upon the water dragon, bamboo cane in hand, commanding the river's surface with each deft motion. The water roiled, forming a colossal black tortoise god, its shell dark and ancient, coiled by a flying serpent poised for flight. Chinmu's memory flickered at the familiar visage, Blind's primordial spirit, echoing the black tortoise god statue of the village, long since subjected to mischievous antics. Blind's cane struck the water with rhythmic precision, each tap sending a surge that erupted into a dragon spear, probing the flaws in dragon-rearing sovereign's divine arts. His mental cultivation, the 9 heavens eye awakening skill, imbued with divine mind perception, left no weakness unseen. Despite his own inferior magic power, Blind's insight rendered him invincible. Even the mighty dragon-rearing sovereign found himself trapped under the scrutiny of divine mind eyes. Rat of the martial world, do you only dare hide? Dragon-rearing sovereign bellowed from the riverbed. Partially submerged in mud and blood, loaches twisted and grew, absorbing godly essence to become loach dragons, snapping and clawing in the quagmire. Blind responded with a single, commanding move, sending Chinmu and the others atop the dragon Qilin as a water dragon swept them upward, leaving the sealed divine treasures powerless against the flow. Si Yunxiang and Ling Yuxi watched, astonished at Blind's recklessness. Chinmu's lips curled into a knowing smile. Grandpa Blind's strength is not in divine arts alone, but in the mastery of martial technique. Even so, his approach here is unparalleled. Hovering above the river, Blind pranced with swift agility around the towering sovereign, bamboo cane moving like a streak of lightning, each strike precise, uncatchable by mortal eyes. The surging river descended in a colossal surge, colliding with dragon-rearing sovereign in a cataclysm of splintering bones and snapping tendons. Above the river, the dragon Chillin lifted into the sky, carrying the stunned observers to safety. Surging river churned in wrath, yet beside it, Blind stood serene upon a reef, cane extended, pacifying the agitated waters with a single, deft motion. The river calmed, the battle paused, yet the echoes of power and mastery lingered, a testament to the might of martial genius against divine sovereignty. When the river's torrent descended, the surrounding mountains trembled as though caught in the grip of some celestial wrath, some crumbling under the assault, sending avalanches of stone and earth cascading down with terrifying force. Villagers along the riverbank were swept into chaos, their cries drowned beneath the roar of the waters. Yet Blind's hands were tied. No matter how he struck, without severing the dragon-rearing sovereign from its dragon vein, the calamity would not be confined to the riverside alone. Soon, the entire Eternal Peace Empire would quake under its fury. Grandpa Blind, dragon-rearing sovereign, can shed its skin to mend even grievous wounds. Chinmu's voice rang atop the dragon Chillin's head, sharp and urgent. Do not falter. He lives yet. Blind's brows knitted in disbelief. You speak of this eel sovereign? I shattered limbs and bones, tore scales asunder, and drowned him beneath the surging river. How can he persist? He lives. Chinmu's declaration cut through the storm. Without decapitating him, no matter the injuries, he will rise anew with the shedding of his skin. In that instant, the river swelled, a monstrous wave rising from upstream like a rolling mountain. Beneath the churning surface, a behemoth stirred. The divine flood dragon king of the Eel Sovereign has come. Truly, Eel Sovereign has yet to meet death. Blind raised his bamboo cane, pressing downward upon the river's heaving mass. Dragon-rearing sovereign groaned under the combined weight of the waters and Blind's formidable strikes, body trembling on the verge of collapse. As the cane struck the surface, the sapphire-blue flood dragon king lunged from the depths, its massive head clashing against the bamboo with a deafening boom. The surging river split, revealing the abyssal riverbed. The dragon Chillin darted upward, avoiding the cataclysm. Peering over the Chillin's back, Chinmu saw dragon-rearing sovereign sprawled within a vast pit, mud blown aside by the onslaught of Blind and the flood dragon king. The god lay in ruin, yet true to expectation, he was not dead, only in the throes of shedding his skin. From the split in his head, a new visage squirmed, struggling to emerge. Should he complete the shedding and merge with the divine flood dragon king, Grandpa Blind would stand no chance. No thought could delay action. With a bound, Chinmu leapt from the Chillin's back, racing toward the submerged god. Si Yunxiang and Ling Yuqiu reached out in astonishment, yet caught nothing. He had vanished into the storm of surging river. Bang! Chinmu's speed pierced the heavens, surpassing sound itself, leaving only a spectral trail of white smoke. Though Blind had sealed his three great divine treasures, his corporeal heaven-pilfering divine legs, a manifestation of raw bodily strength, remained unbound. He plunged toward dragon-rearing sovereign with a fierce whoosh. Below, surging river's waters swirled, black tortoise primordial spirit flaring behind. Blind to contend with the flood dragon king, Blind glimpsed Chinmu streaking through the storm, scolding inwardly for the boy's audacity, flicking his cane. The gust struck Chinmu's brow midair. Divine treasures flared open, restoring his magic power, a smile of relief breaking across his face. Blind fought with desperate vigor, pitting himself against the flood dragon king to shield Chinmu. The dragon's talons, shattered by precise taps of the bamboo cane, failed to release their full force. With a sweep, the river rose into a spear aimed at the creature's heart, forcing it skyward. Shh! Chinmu dove into the riverbed mud just as the waters converged, mountains of waves surging eastward in thunderous display. Beneath the river, Chinmu's breath fought the crushing pressure, chest straining, ears ringing. Emerging, he swam with the fluid grace of a fish to the pit, where dragon-rearing sovereign lay half-buried beneath mud and sand. Blood and flesh were swept away, yet the god's head writhed, two horns sprouting, defying the current. Chinmu's hands circled the god's form, seeking the true dragon's nest. Dragon-rearing sovereign's head split wider, godly might radiating from the fissure. The carefree sword in Chinmu's grip struck scales, clanging, until a dozen precise thrusts pierced the hide. With hammer in hand, he drove the sword through, pinning the shedding skin and corporeal body. The dragon's head could struggle no longer. "We meet again, boy," the sovereign rasped. "I must kill you." Chinmu's vital ki swept mud and 3-break powder into the mouth, silencing the god. Even as dragon-rearing sovereign writhed, poison erupted, tearing at body and soul, forcing the dragon to shed skin anew, each casting weakened by the toxic assault. Strange relics adorned the god's body. Dragon skin drum, horns, claw staff, bone flute, but the true nest eluded him. Sensing movement in the currents, Chinmu steadied atop the dragon, eyes catching a flood dragon of dark green scales, summoned by the sovereign's aura, immense and unyielding. With vital chi guiding the dragon bone flute, Chinmu attempted to bind the creature. Pain stabbed his mind as the sovereign struck with last consciousness, threatening to unseat him. Still, he saw the squirming god below and pressed onward, carefree sword slicing, scalp parted. The flood dragon lunged, jaws snapping, but the Emperor's disc flashed in Chinmu's hand, commanding reverence. The creature bowed its head, submitting to the boy's will. Stomping on the sovereign's eye, Chinmu roared, demanding the nest's location, hundreds of poisons at his command. Another head emerged. The god's body, writhing, attempted another shedding, yet the 3-break powder and the sword's pinning constrained him. Then the dark green flood dragon, scaled in mastery and strength, leapt upon Chinmu's shoulders, revealing the hidden dragon's nest. A triumphant smile broke across the boy's face. "Sly, you are truly sly," he exclaimed, giving a thumbs up to his battered, writhing foe.